Hey guys, this is Jay from Hustle Paintball, and today we're going to talk about the Planet Eclipse D.A.R.T kit. Now, this is a drop-in upgrade for the Ego 11 and CSL markers. It's a new valve guide, new bolt, new exhaust valve, and it comes with a replacement plunger and spring. It's a pretty awesome kit. The idea being is that by using a larger diameter hole in the valve guide, it will allow your marker to operate at a lower pressure. Now, what does this actually mean to you, and is it worth your money? Because it's not necessarily a cheap upgrade, particularly on top of an already expensive marker. Now, the idea, of course, being lower pressure operation should, in theory, make your marker be more gentle on fragile paint. It should be able to operate a little bit more smoothly, and of course, there should be a commensurate gain in efficiency. Now, since it is a new valve guide, that's pretty much the deepest, darkest heart of your marker. So to get to it, we're going to show you, we'll have to take the marker apart. I'll show you guys how to install it as well. Afterwards, we're going to put it back together. I'll give you guys some of my thoughts on actually how the system works and if it's actually worth your money. To install the D.A.R.T system, we're going to need just a couple tools, and you're going to need to prepare your Ego a little bit. Now, I'm not going to show you how to remove your grip frame or your regulator. We went over that in the Ego 11 video, so go watch that if you don't know how. It's not very hard, but just know you're going to need access to these parts of your marker. The other thing you're going to need are the following parts out of the D.A.R.T kit, which are the valve guide and the exhaust valve itself, which is this. Now, to actually get these out, this is something most people probably have not done to their markers because there's never been really any reason. So, turn your marker up like this, and the two screws we're going to have to remove are the LPR retaining screw here and the valve guide retaining screw here. Start with the LPR. This is a 1/8 Allen. Should be able to just unscrew it. Now, it may feel a little tough, and that's because it's under spring tension. So, in case it doesn't come out, as it usually won't, what you can do is press in on the LPR. You can feel it click, and usually, yep, just like that, it'll fall out. Then slowly let off the LPR. You'll be able to extract that, as well as your valve spring. You can set those to the side. We're going to need them in a little while. Take your 1/8 Allen key and unscrew the valve guide retaining screw right here. That should come out much easier. Now, there's two pieces left in here, the old valve guide and the old exhaust valve. The exhaust valve will just fall out like that. But to get the valve guide out, you're going to have to get a little more creative. So turn your body over like that. Remove your bolt, because that's going to be in the way. And take your Allen key. This may be hard to show on camera, but I'm going to do my best, guys. Right down here, at the very front of where your rammer hits, is the valve guide itself. You should be able to push on it, and it'll come free. Don't push on it too hard, because you may mar the aluminum in there if you get really crazy with it. But you'll feel it let go. It's just held in place with some O-rings. Turn it back over, and you can now see, I don't know if you guys can see, it's really dark in there, but the valve guide has now come free. So you should be able to slide it forward, and it'll pop out. Cool, so that's all the old parts. Now for the complicated part. This is your new valve guide and exhaust valve. This is the bottom, so this is the part where that retaining screw sits. And the correct way to install this is like this. The wider end should be facing the exhaust valve. So when it's sitting in the marker, it's going to be like this, all right? To get it in place, take the marker body, have it oriented as best as you can. It's not easy. You're probably going to have to work it in place a little bit. Hold it straight up. Go ahead and drop it in. And this is the one tool I didn't talk about before, but it's one that pretty much all paintballers are going to have, and that's a swab. Take your swab, and you can gently push the valve guide into place. It should go in place fairly easily, but you're still going to have to adjust where the retaining screw sits. So you use your Allen key, get it lined up. Take the retaining screw itself, put it back in there, and that should seat it correctly. And of course, the last part, take the exhaust valve itself, drop it in through the front. You'll feel it seat. Make sure you put this in this way. This is where that retaining screw goes. You'll see it line up. It'll be under spring tension in there, so you're going to have to hold it in place while you put the retaining screw in. Do that, tighten everything all back together, and that's pretty much it. That's all it is to install the D.A.R.T kit. Now, there is one other thing, that some of you ego owners out there might be familiar with how to do. And that is how to change yourself over to the new bolt system. So, put your body to the side, get your old bolt out, and the new D.A.R.T bolt. Now, in the case of this one, this is actually a teched cush bolt, but the idea is the same across all ego markers. You can either use your existing bolt spring and bolt plunger, or you can use the ones that are provided with the kit. We're going to use the new ones for the sake of the video. Now, drop your spring in first and the plunger on top. Make sure it's actually fed correctly into the bottom of the plunger. Otherwise, it will not compress correctly. All right, cool. You'll feel it kind of seat down in there. It should look like that when it's seated correctly. Now, to get the old one out, this is one of the things that I did when I first owned an ego. If you're not fortunate enough to have a nice tech sticker on the back of your bolt, what can happen if you do this wrong is it'll shoot the bolt plunger across the room, and I can guarantee it will find the nearest heater vent. So slide it halfway between the top and bottom positions. Halfway, you can turn it, and at this point, if you don't have a jewel, put your finger over the back of the bolt. Once that's done, you can pull it out, and that's it. Now, if you need to take these parts out, of course, take them out, put them in your new bolt. But since we've already done that, make sure you're not doing it upside down, because these bolts do have a top and a bottom. This obviously is the top, and this is the bottom that faces the air passage from the valve. Slide this in just like this. Now, to get it past this, you're going to have to compress it. So gently push down on the plunger, and you'll feel it slide past. You can continue to work it through until it gets halfway through. Turn it around. Bam. Take that, put it back in your marker, lock it on your rammer, and you're all done. Now that you guys have seen how this system installs, it's time to actually come back to the original question of, is it worth your money? Now, this is a question in two parts. The first part is the bolt itself. This bolt is going to perform fairly similar to a lot of aftermarket bolts with regard to gains in efficiency. Much like the tech line of bolts, another series of bolts we like very much, this will perform fairly similar to that. But the D.A.R.T system does have another component, and that's the valve guide and exhaust valve. So, what does that mean? Well, since your marker can operate at a lower pressure now, it will change how the marker feels. And we searched a little bit to actually come up with a good way to describe how this feels in your hands, since it's not something we could easily show you on film. The best way is it makes the marker feel crisp. I know that's a peculiar word to use to describe a paintball marker, but it is the truth. So that's the best way you can use to describe it. You can feel the marker working underneath your hands. Now, with that being said, because it changes how your marker feels somewhat dramatically, we can't just recommend it just wholesale. If you get a chance to actually try one of these, that of course is the best choice. Try one, go to your local pro shop, see if they have one available. That'll tell you if you really like it. So, with all that said, guys, you can of course get these products at hustlepaintball.com, or if you have any ideas for any of our future videos, please email us at videos@hustlepaintball.com. Of course, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, read our blog, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's a big deal, and last but not least, go hit up PB Riot. We have actually several threads on this exact system and various other user reports if you guys want to check out and see what some more people, other than just myself, have said about it. So, thanks guys, and back to fail compilations. Words.
You can flush now.
How's it going? They poop over there, and it interrupts our takes.